just let us know that how did you do in the examination. How did you find the examination? Easy, moderate, difficult? The ones who appeared last year and this year as well, how would you compare it with respect to last year? And did you find any glitches, any wrong question, anything else in the examination? Please do share. Do share the number of attempts. I'm sure you know that there is no negative marking, so ideally one should have attempted all 100 questions. Okay, that should have been the strategy. That goes without saying that if there is no negative marking, everyone should attempt all the questions, right? So what are your expected scores? How much are you expecting? Any guesses, right? How many questions are you sure about that what would be your score in the examination? Okay, so Tala is saying that quant and English was very easy. Quant, I agree, was very easy. English, the parajumbles were good, right? And one of the RCs was time consuming. Rest, I agree that it was easy, right? GK was moderate to difficult. Okay, and then GK was very random. A lot of questions on government schemes, which are not so common ones as well, right? So that was present in the examination. Okay, all right, so what is your take on this exam? How many questions did you do? Around 55 to 60, 60 plus, not sure. DI second tough. I would say that was calculation intensive. One of the questions was one wrong question. Yes, there was one wrong question. Okay, that question was on, there were two questions in fact. One of the questions was about that parallelogram. That was some ambiguous question. Okay, and then another question that was on this thing. Another question, there are two correct options. Okay, that was two correct options. That was the thing, right? No history, geography, etc. Very few questions on that, right? So GK was the game changer, right? Okay, so GK tough. Everyone agrees to that. Everyone on the same page saying that GK was tough, right? That was what was in fact tough. Quant on the other hand was very easy this time. Last year it was moderate. This time quant was very easy, very simple questions. There was one ambiguous question and one question with two answers correct. That is 1:0.8 and 1.25:1, right? Though that was the case, right? So let us look at the exam analysis and let's see that. Some quant were time consuming. Yes, I believe except the DI, you hardly had any question which was time consuming. Yes, GK was UPSC type. Yes, everyone agrees to that. Okay, so let's look at the pattern. So the pattern was the same. It was constant. It has been constant for a few years as of now, right? English, you have 30 questions. Then mathematical and logical reasoning, 30 questions. And general awareness, 40 questions. Okay, so if we talk about the English section, there were two RCs. One was on Tai Chi, that Chinese wrestling thing, and another one was on that aviation sector, the sustainable development in aviation sector post-COVID. Okay, that RC was good, the aviation sector RC. The other one was very easy RC. Okay, and it was dominated by fill in the blanks. A lot of questions on fill in the blanks. 3 parajumbles. Okay. Okay, you're not sure about 14 in GK. One side time. Yes, so if you had one side time consuming, then the remaining section was easy in quant. Okay, so wrong question. Ideally, they should give grace marks to the examination. Okay, in the question to everyone. That should be the ideal course of action. Okay, so 100 minutes were given for the examination, and every right answer would give you 1 mark. Incorrect response, there is no negative marking. Okay, so that was one thing that one must be aware of and should have tried to attend all the questions. Okay, and all were MCQs. That is. Now if we talk about the sections, English was easy to moderate. Okay, barring a few questions, especially the parajumbers that were time consuming, right? One had to read and to solve those questions, that were time consuming thing. RCs might have taken time, especially the second one, right? Or I would say that aviation one. Okay, that was a good RC. Another RC, the Tai Chi one, that was a very easy one, easy to read also, and questions were also easy. So RCs might have taken time, and the parajumbles, right? So they were balanced by a good number of questions on fill in the blanks. So there were too many questions on fill in the blanks, grammar, okay, and some questions on vocab as well, right? So that would have balanced the thing for the time thing, right? So some are saying that RCs were lengthy. So on the other hand, you had multiple questions, fill in the blanks, most of them were easily doable. Okay, agreed on English. Okay, so English, mathematics and logical reasoning, mostly mathematics. They hardly give questions on reasoning. There were 2 questions on reasoning. Both were number series. One was alphabet series, the answer was P, very simple. Another was another number series, that was I guess the answer was 259, isn't it? 259. Okay, and some of the questions that I would remember, I'll talk about those. Grammar was easy, correct. RC moderate, I agree with that. Okay, and then you had general awareness. I would rate it on a difficult side, moderate to difficult. It was difficult. It is expected that you get questions from basically your government schemes, but this time there were too many questions, right? Then there was no such thing called static GK. Very few questions on static GK. Mostly it was current with government schemes and all, right? Fewer questions on static GK as compared to previous years. Okay, quant was lengthy. Quant was not at all lengthy. That was the easiest section, I believe. Okay, static GK was missing, and a lot of questions like they ask in UPSC, right, related to schemes. What is this scheme meant for, with close options also. Okay, tricky questions in that, agree to that. Okay, and the overall difficulty level was, I would rate moderate, not easy. It was on the moderate side. Okay, and English proficiency, I don't agree with this. I believe that quant was the easiest section. Okay, that, I mean, DI, barring that one DI set which was calculation intensive, rest of the questions were easy. Okay, rest of the questions that I believe were very easy in that. Okay, so reading comprehension was tricky, right? I agree, especially that aviation one, and that might have leveled this with, as compared to last year, it was with the same level. Reading comprehension plus parajumbles also time consuming. Okay, all right, so now let's talk about the English proficiency section. So there were 2 questions. One was on aviation, that was that sustainable development post COVID in the aviation sector. Then there was one push hands, that was that Chinese wrestling format, right? That said that you should have to relax your muscles and give energy, right? Rather than force, it should be energy that should push you. Okay, then there were around 8 fill in the blanks, that were 4 were preposition based, 4 were grammar or vocab based. Okay, Sunday Monday answer 1 by 7, right? Because see, you have 366 days. There is only one scenario wherein you will have Sunday and Monday coming as in the leap year, right? So that was a very straightforward one. There were few questions on probability, all were very simple. Basically, they wanted to test your counting skills. Okay, there was one question on like 101 to 350, right? So such easy questions, that was just about to check your counting skills. Some people might count as 249, so that was that they were checking, right? So there were 2 questions on critical reasoning as well in this. Okay, so these are some of the questions, and the remaining questions were on 3 questions on error spotting. Parajumbles, 3 parajumbles, I would rate that they were good questions. They were not so easily doable. One had to read and see through the options also, and then figure out. If it was that cat thing wherein you have theta, then I would rate that would have been even more challenging. Okay, then vocab, 3 questions, antonym, meaning, I mean that is synonym, and there was 1 modifier based questions and 1 question on verbal logic. Okay, that was analytical reasoning, you would rather call it. That simple one was basically in 3 different things you have animals being placed, monkeys, elephants, etc. So something like that. Okay, so that was that was one of the questions. So all in all, RCs, I mean, the pattern was much more similar as compared to last year. 2 RCs. Last year also they had 2 RCs of 5 questions each. Then heavily dominated by fill in the blanks. Okay, both preposition type as well as grammar vocab type. Then some questions on spotting the error, parajumbles, etc, etc. So English, I believe, was on the level field as compared to last year as well. Right, so that was the same thing. Yes, RCs, last year also there was one RC I remember, that was something related to Renaissance and some cows, that was a philosophical, that I would say history plus philosophy type. So this time they matched the level of English. Now coming to this thing that I don't agree that it would be the easiest. The easiest would have been quant because most of the questions were easy in quant. And many questions from fill in the blanks, 2 reading comprehension sets, 5 questions each. Okay, so time consuming, and fill in the blanks were doable. Okay, if you are average with grammar, they didn't test like very deep grammar skills kind of thing, right? So people must have done those fill in the blanks questions. Now let's talk about the mathematical and logical reasoning section. So arithmetic dominated this section, which happens in every examination, right? You have most of the questions from arithmetic section itself. Okay, and there were 1 or 2 questions on algebra. One I remember from logarithm, another one I don't get, what was this? Geometry mensuration, 3 questions. One was the tree question, the answer was 30. 1100 was the answer to one of the questions, that surface area. Yes, very straightforward questions. They've given you length, breadth and height and asked what is the total surface area, right? So 1100 was the answer to that question. And another question on geometry and mensuration, I think that parallelogram one, that was incorrect though. Modern maths, all probability based questions, very simple questions. One on 1 by 7 was the answer to one of those. 100 by 250 was the answer of that counting thing. Okay, DI, there was one set which was challenging, the rest was easy. Numbers, one of the question was how many multiples of this. So that was simple, again a simple question on numbers. And then you had data interpretation. If we talk about, there were two sets, right? Both table based. One was very simple, okay, and another one was a calculation intensive one. You had to find percentages. Okay, so that was the case. And then you had letter series, one question, one was a number series. Letter series, the answer was, I guess, P. Okay, and number series, the answer was 259. Surface area 1300. Maybe I did it wrong. So thanks for informing. The answer must have been 1300 then. Okay, I don't recall the numbers, but yes, possible that I could do it wrong, right? So maybe I did it in a hurry and got it wrong. So that I know that at least I couldn't get all correct in this. Okay, then there was one question on pie chart, right? That was basically, that was kuch to tha, like 54 degree. They had asked that how much will be the value, right? 54 degrees 15%, so 30,000 kuch 2 lakh kuch diya tha, right? So that was the thing there, right? So that was this part. So hardly questions on logical reasoning, 2 questions. That is the case. Mostly it is your quant and DI. Very few questions on logical reasoning in TISSNET. That is the case every year. Okay. Length of the tree, that was length of the tree was 30. Yes, 2 degree was one of the answers. That was from the DI. Right? They asked that 180. In DI there was one incorrect question also. The question was this thing, 1 upon 0.8, right? So that was something, both options were correct, 1.25 ratio 1, and that was the correct one. So this DI was fairly easy. One of the sets were very easy. Second set was time consuming. I agree to that. Okay. Then let's talk about the thing that most of the questions from arithmetic, and anyone could have easily done it, right? One DI set was calculation intensive and the other one was easily doable. Okay, all right, so let's now talk about the general awareness section. Okay, general awareness was a nightmare. Okay, so around 10 questions on static GK, not much static this time. Many questions on government schemes, around 10 to 12 questions were on government schemes. Okay, they had asked that what is this scheme meant for and that, and some current GK 18 to 20 questions. Current GK, they had focused on this Padma Shri awardees. There were 2 questions on Padma Shri awardees. One was for promoting some men and for promoting some Kerala martial arts. I am not getting the name of that martial art. The name starts from K. Okay, that is the answer to that question, right? And then there were questions on like laureate athlete, that was Neeraj Chopra. Okay, then there was question on this thing, Indian documentary, right? So they did not mention documentary, so the documentary name is Writing with Fire. Okay, so that was the thing. One PJ option was wrong. Yes, there was one question in PJ Parajumbles that was basically that had 2 options. One of the options they had written 2 times D, and that was not the correct option. Yes, that is Kalari Pettu. Yes, that was the answer to that. Padma Shri awardee, one of these. Okay, and yes, one was on transgender also. I do not recall that. See, generally people study, one was on this Nobel Prize, right, and that was for journalism. Barbados, one question, right, First Republic, that we had discussed a lot of times, right. So these were some of the questions that I could recall, right. So if you remember, you can just mention the questions here, and then cricketer of the year. Okay, with this Smriti Mandhana. So some questions were easy, but some of the questions were quite I mean, especially this part, the government schemes part was a challenging one, right? So that is generally we I mean, we read about very few schemes, the important ones, but there were some very like for one scheme they had asked the full form also. Okay, yeah, Gangubai question, the answer was some Zahidi, right? Hazrat Zahidi or some name like that. Asian Games 22, yes, there was that question as well. So if we talk about this, then it was difficult than last year. Okay, difficult, it was definitely more difficult than last year, and because of these presence of disappearance of static GK questions, right? They used to ask questions like what is the capital, right? Some places about different monuments or those things. So that was not present this time. Okay, and then you had this thing. So Nobel Peace Prize given in which field? Indian Oscar entry, right? Writing with Fire, that was for this. Vaccination for children. Okay, full form of Parakh was asked, right? So very few people might have got this one, right? If they knew it, must have read about this. Okay, so these are some of the questions that were asked in the examination. Okay, then something on circular and economy as well. Then some questions on this thing as well, your yeah, business and economy related, the Startup India scheme, some schemes related to that, right? Stand Up India scheme, so that was given. And then yes, social activist in West Bengal, yeah, that was also asked. Okay, all right, so let's see that the expected cutoffs and all. So there is no sectional cutoff for English and mathematics and logical reasoning. There is a cutoff of 14. So this time I feel that many people might not be able to clear the cutoffs. This is for all programs, right? The 14 cutoff is for all programs. So if we talk about the HRM thing, so HRM is the most sought after program. So this is for your human resource management. Last year the cutoff was 68. Okay, so this year the cutoff could be around 65 to 67. The reason being ki quant went to the easy side, but GK will take it down again, right? So 65 to 67 is our prediction. And then like if you say that ODCL, that will be around some 60 to 62, and same goes for that analytics also. So analytics also somewhere in this range itself, 60 to 62, somewhere close to this. And rest of there are many other courses also, so they generally have very low cutoffs. Some courses have cutoffs in like 40s, 45, right, 50. So these are the most sought after courses. Okay, so HRM, the cutoff, the most sought after course for TISSNET is HRM, and most of you must have applied to that also. Okay, so that is the thing, that is the cutoff, right? As per our prediction, the cutoff will be in this range. Okay, so just wait for the result soon. So one question they should scrap it. Okay, the ratio based question on quant. Okay, now yeah, so there is sectional cutoff. So there is no minimum cutoff marks for like if you do not score that minimum marks, you do not qualify for this. Okay, so like GK cutoffs, it is 14 for general, EWS, Kashmiri migrants and armed forces category, 14 marks, and PW and OBC it is 30%, that is 12 marks. SC and ST, there is no sectional cutoff applied. Okay, so HR I said 65 to 67 should be the cutoff. Okay, it should not be more than it should not go more than last year, definitely, for sure, because GK was a challenging section. Okay, so if you talk about the final selection, right, so you have TISSNET, and that has 50% weight in the final selection. Okay, and the online assessment, you will have an interview. Okay, and that is extempore and personal interview. So it has 20% and 30% weight. So that is the total structure for final qualification. Okay, so finally when you sit for the interviews and also 50% weight will be given to your TISSNET score. So if you have good TISSNET score, but you have to do good in other two things as well, because 50%, only 50% weight, and people do very well in extempore and personal interview, so they gain marks over there. So make sure that if you are scoring a good, even if you are on the borderline case, right, so just start preparing for the GD and PI rounds, and do study about things like, let's say, do have some general awareness plus the course that you are applying to. So read some basics of that. Let's say you are applying for there are courses for social entrepreneurship. So if you applied to that, so that thing you should see, right? So there were two questions that were incorrect. Yes, a parallelogram plus that ratio also. So I believe that they should scrap those two questions. Okay, result will be by 26 March. Okay. All right, so that was the analysis of the examination. That's what was asked in the paper. Okay, and that's we had to present, right? So just to tell that the paper was slightly difficult as compared to last year, 1 or 2 marks difference, and then no, it does not give you answer key, right? So it does not give answer key for the examination. Okay, so just wait for the result, right? You will get it soon. Okay, and if you are preparing for CMAT, start your preparation now itself. I mean, CMAT notification is out, right? So that CMAT, and then you have MHCT are the two examinations that are upcoming this season, and then otherwise you will have to wait for the next season. Okay, cutoff for ODCLs around 60-62. Last year it was 62, so expecting in that range. All right. So yes, again that will depend, right? If they scrap those two questions, what will happen, right? Do they give marks for those, or they remove marks for that? Okay, so that is you have to wait and watch. Okay, so that was the analysis from our side, that how was it as compared to last year. Was it I mean, what could be the expected cutoffs? Okay, You can follow us on our social media platforms, especially our Telegram channel. You can join the channel. The link is given in the description also, so that you can interact with us and get our queries resolved. Get your queries resolved. It could be academic, non-academic, any query related to MBA preparation, right? So the faculties over there are quite active. They respond to your queries. They come live as well to sort out your queries. Okay, so thanks for watching the analysis, and all the best to the aspirants who have done well in the examination. The ones who are near the borderline case, keep your fingers crossed, but start preparing for the second round as well, right? The interview and extempore round. Okay, so that's it for the analysis. Thanks for watching the video. Please do like the video before leaving the session. So goodbye and take care.